Hello and welcome to a discussion on the topic religion and ecology. You must be aware that the process of modernization, though brought in its wake a host of benefiting factors for human life and existence, it at the same time has certain negative implications too, and one of them is environmental crisis. Environmental crisis, as you might know, can be traced in such aspects as resource depletion, species extinction, pollution growth, climatic changes, population explosion, and overconsumption. So, the need of the hour is such. Human attitudes, decisions, values and behavior that would guarantee the survival and flourishing of numerous life forms on earth. This is why the formulation of viable human-earth relation becomes central to a sustainable future for the planet. Let me now come to the role played by religions, cosmologies, symbols, rituals and ethics in this regard. You see, the emerging field of religion and ecology plays a very important role because world religions are being recognized in their great variety. Nowadays, religions provide a broad orientation to the cosmos and to the human roles. Let me give you a brief definition of religion at first. Well, religion can be understood as a means through which humans are able to recognize the limitations of phenomenal reality and at the same time are able to deal with specific practices to effect self-transformation and community cohesion. Religion also refers to the cosmological stories, symbol systems, ritual practices, ethical norms, historical process and institutional structures which help to transmit the view of human beings. At the same time, it helps to connect humans with the divine presence. Now, if I am to speak of the expressions of religions and the worldviews, let me first state what we actually mean by worldviews. Well, by worldviews we mean ways of knowing embedded in symbols and stories in the life of particular cultures. These arise from human interaction with natural systems or ecologies. They also generate rituals, ethics and ways of acting which guide human behavior. Worldviews are critical because they deal with discovering formative attitudes regarding nature, habitat and our place in the world. Next, coming to religious cosmologies, you see religious cosmologies describe the experience of origination and change in relation to the natural world. They give rise to religious rituals and symbols and also provide rich resources which help in the development of spiritual and ethical transformation in human life. Thus, religions helped to celebrate the gifts of nature such as air, water, food, which help in the sustenance of life on earth. Speaking of the possibilities and limitations of religions regarding environmental concerns, let me draw your attention to an important point. You see, there is a tension between humans seeking to transcend this world and those who are yearning to be embedded in it. These tensions give rise to the possibilities and limitations of religions regarding environmental concerns. On the one hand, religions retain otherworldly orientations toward personal salvation outside this world and at the same time help in fostering commitments to social justice, peace and ecological integrity in the world. So, what happened is religions encouraged values and ethics of reverence, respect for formulating a broader environmental ethics like humans, ecosystem. Let me now talk of two important documents in the context of call for the participation of religions. The first is Preserving the Earth, an appeal for joint commitment in science and religion. This was signed at the Global Forum meeting in Moscow in January 1990, where it was stated that the environmental crisis requires radical changes not only in public policy but in individual behavior. The historical record makes clear that religious teaching, example and leadership are powerfully able to influence personal conduct and commitment. And the second document is World Scientists' Warning to Humanity. This was produced by Union of Concerned Scientists in 1992. It stated that a new ethic is required, a new attitude towards discharging our responsibilities for caring for ourselves and for the earth. We must recognize the earth's limited capacity to provide for us. We must recognize its fragility. We must no longer allow it to be ravished. If I am to talk about the responsible religious leaders and communities, then it would be important for you to note that it was more than half a century ago when there were some strong voices advocating a religious response. These included the opinions of Walter Loudermilk and Joseph Sittler. While Loudermilk called for an 11th commandment of land stewardship in the year 1940, Sittler wrote an essay, A Theology for the Earth, in the year 1954. There are certain key movements which are responsible for alleviating the environmental crisis, about which I shall now discuss. The interreligious gatherings on the environment in RCC were held under the sponsorship of the World Wildlife Fund in 1948 and under the auspices of the Vatican in the year 1986. The Parliament of the World Religions also issued major statements on global ethics. The Catholic theologian Hans Kung also focused on global ethics in the year 1993. The 1999 Parliament of Cape Town issued a challenge to lead institutions to participate in transformation toward a sustainable future. The Global Forum of Spiritual and Parliamentary Leaders held international meetings for the protection of the environment in Oxford in the year 1988, Moscow in 1990, Rio in 1992 and Kyoto in 1993. NRP, that is the National Religious Partnership for the Environment, also focused on environmental issues. In August 2000, a historic gathering of more than 2,000 religious leaders took place at the United Nations, where the environment was one of 4 major themes. There are various religious leaders whose responses in this regard should also be taken into account, like the Dalai Lama and Thich Nhat Hanh. Well, according to the Tibetan Buddhist leader, the Dalai Lama and the Vietnamese Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh, it is the universal responsibility of the human community to look after the environment and all the species. Apart from them, church leaders such as Anglican Archbishop Rowan Williams and Robert Edgar also pointed out environmental problems like resource use and climate change. There are many studies that revealed many statements of world's religions on the need to care for the earth. These statements range from various positions, from Western monotheistic traditions to the different sectors within Asian traditions of Buddhism and Taoism. Monolithic traditions reflect the originality of thought in bringing religious traditions into conversation with modern environmental problems like climate change, pollution, and loss of biodiversity. The Protestant-based World Council of Churches has published treatises on justice, peace, and the integrity of creation. Now, let me give an idea about the intellectual influences on religion and ecology. You see, over the last decades, the field of religion and ecology has emerged within academia. The academic study of religion and ecology is taking help from other disciplines and thinkers to develop theoretical, historical, ethical, and cultural dimensions. The theoretical and historical dimensions are influenced by the work of Clarence Glacken, who developed a study of nature in Western culture. Mention should also be made of Nice, who elaborated a theory of deep ecology and at the same time pointed out the importance of the natural world over human prerogatives. Other philosophers such as Baird Callicott and Hans Rostand have helped to develop the field of environmental ethics. The cultural dimensions particularly are influenced by the work of anthropologists such as Julian Stewart and Roy Rappaport. Julian Stewart coined the term cultural ecology. By this term, he meant the relationship between the environment, the economic and the technological aspects of the society. There are many geographers too, like David Soper and E. Fu Tuan, who pointed out the spatial and ecological characteristics of religion. Not only geographers, but there are historians too, such as Thomas Berry and William McNeill, who focused on mutual inferences, which plays a very important role in human interactions with ecosystem. Then there are the theologians such as John Cobb and Gordon Kaufman, who combined the theoretical and engaged perspectives and worked out on how Christian beliefs can be expressed theologically. Speaking of ecofeminists, there are Rosemary Ruther, Sally McFarg and Heather Eaton, who pointed out the exploitation of the women and contested nature of the treatment of the earth. Eco-justice writers like Robert Bullard, Dieter Hessel, Mark Wallace and Roger Gottlieb pointed out the linkages between social injustice and environmental pollution. According to many of these thinkers, the historical, theoretical, cultural, ethical and engaged perspectives are not separate but are mutually inclusive. You see, today the emerging academic field of religion and ecology focuses on such issues like conferences, creation of forums, construction of websites, publication of books, undergraduate and graduate programs, among others. First, let me focus on Harvard Conference series. Well, the Harvard Conference series was a 3-year international conference that took place at Harvard University Center for the Study of World Religions from 1996 to 1998. The goal was to examine the human-earth relations. This project provides a broad aspect which would help to establish a new field of study in religion and ecology. Religions are considered as the key shapers of people's worldviews and help to formulate their cherished values. Thus, this project revealed the attitudes and practices towards nature which has been sanctioned by the religious traditions. Second, let me speak of the distance between the ancient texts and traditions. Well, in order to deal with the gap between the ancient texts and traditions, we had to focus on the method of retrieval, re-evaluation and reconstruction. Religious traditions, as you may note, have never been monolithic. Rather, they include a wide range of interpretative positions, ranging from orthodox to reforms. Jews rabbis, Christian theologians, Islamic imams, Hindu pandits, Buddhist monks have all interpreted their respective traditions over time. Coming to conferences, well, from 1996 to 1998, there were more than 800 scholars who participated in a series of 10 conferences in order to examine the traditions of Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism, Shintoism and indigenous religions. The conferences were organized by John Green and Mary Evelyn Tucker with a team of area specialists. These conferences include a spectrum of positions. They also included both historians and scholars of the traditions. Moreover, scientists, environmentalists, activists, as well as graduate and undergraduate students also participated. For example, the Shinto conference was the largest gathering of Shinto priests. Another example is the Islam conference with representatives from various parts of the Islamic world. Apart from the conferences, there was also a forum on religion and ecology that was announced in October 1998 at the United Nations Conference. The forum had three objectives. The first was continuation of research in the area of religion and ecology. The second was to deal with the development of teaching in this area. And finally, the third was to encourage interdisciplinary environmental studies program. Now, the Forum on Religion and Ecology under the Herbert Center for the Environment created a website to assist in fostering research, education in the area of religion and ecology. There are also annotated bibliographies of the literature on the world religions. The website contains introductory essays of world religions, traditions and their environmental contributions. They also contain syllabus and lists of audio visual resources. In addition, they contain introductory selections to point out the importance of interdisciplinary dialogue in partnership with science, economics and policy. Annotated bibliography of evolutionary and ecological sciences can also be found in these websites. Eventually, what happened is the 10-volume Harvard series on world religions and ecology was published between 1997 and 2003. 2 years later, another major multi-year project was completed and was published in the 2-volume Encyclopedia of Religion and Nature, edited by Brown Taylor. Also, a peer-reviewed journal entitled World View, Global Religions, Culture and Ecology has been published for more than a decade. Now, let me move on to challenges to religion and ecology. You see, on the one hand, religions have sustained human aspirations and energies for centuries. But on the other hand, religion gives rise to intolerance, violence and fundamentalist views of various kinds. Thus, we can say that world religions are not sufficient for ecological solutions. Some of the religious traditions have presented obstacles to open discussion of certain kinds of birth controls at even population conference. These include Islam, Roman Catholicism, etc. There is also an alternative research project dealing with more plural approach to population control among world religions. And the name of the project is Religious Consultation on Population Reproduction, Health and Ethics. It can also be said that religions can bring an ethical perspective to environmental issues. There is a need for creative humanistic and religious initiatives in order to formulate interdisciplinary approaches to environmental science, policies and laws. The directions of many environmental studies programs try to integrate religion and ethics into traditional science and policy based programs. Today, we can also find how much the environmental crisis has urged scholars to become public intellectuals so that they are able to understand the environmental problems and provide the necessary solutions. Say, religion and ecology makes a contribution to interdisciplinary environmental studies within academia as well as outside academia. Over the last 50 years, science have played and still does play a very important role in solving environmental problems, both on a global and local scale. However, in spite of the thousands of scientific studies that have been published, many experts have concluded that they have not made sufficient progress because there is a wide range of obstacles like lack of political will to the unchanging habits of human beings. Scientists have opined that there are many acts about environmental problems which have not changed human behavior, and hence exploitation of nature, addictive consumption are rampant even today. Even policy experts have claimed that legislative or managerial approaches to nature are insufficient for all the complex environmental challenges. Many environmentalists believe that although science and policy approaches are necessary, they are not sufficient to change human consciousness and behavior for a sustainable future. As such, environmentalists have focused more on values, ethics, religion and spirituality, and this is being articulated in conferences, in books, in articles and also in policy institutes like the World Watch. For a detailed study, let me elaborate some of the responses of policy groups and scientists. One such initiative has been promoted by UNEP, that is the United Nations Environment Programme, which has established an interfaith partnership for environment, which for 20 years distributed thousands of booklets on earth and faith, and at the same time encouraged the participation of religious leaders, scholars and lay people in conferences which it organized. According to Klaus Schwab, who was the former executive director of the United Nations Environmental Programme, is known internationally for his commitment towards sustainable development. According to him, environmental ethics and spiritual values should be integrated into environmental protection. He pointed out Hans Jonas' principle of responsibility as the crucial point for future generations. He claimed that legal and compliance mechanisms are indispensable and that resources such as water should not be seen as economically valuable but also spiritually valuable for human use. In such, he gave importance on not only market values but on the spiritual and ethical values as well. Now, Mikhail Gorbachev was born in March 2, 1931. He was a Soviet official, the General Secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union from 1985 to 1991, and was the President of the Soviet Union in 1990 to 1991. He also reflected the search for broader ethical approaches to environmental problems. Its title was Earth Dialogues. Is ethics the missing link? This Earth Dialogue conference was followed by another conference in Barcelona in the year 2004. There was also Gary Gardner, who is the Director of Publications at the World Watch Institute, an environmental research organization based in Washington, D.C. He pointed out that religion plays an important role in shaping attitudes and actions for a broader commitment to environmental protection, and this idea has been published in a separate World Watch paper entitled Invoking the Spirit, Religion and Spirituality in the Quest for a Sustainable World. Now, if I am to speak of the role of human values and ethical perspectives in environment, the accounts of certain scientists and policy makers must be considered. Well, According to many scientists and policy makers, human values and ethical perspectives play an important role in environmental discussions. The role of human values and ethical perspectives are best reflected in the work of V. Wilson. The Harvard biologist E. Wilson, in his book in the year 2003, The Future of Life, pointed out the power of the religious beliefs and institutions to mobilize large number of people for ecological protection. Apart from this, James Gustave Smith, Dean of Yale's School of Forestry and Environmental Studies, in his book Red Sky at Morning, also pointed out the ethics and values play a very important role in environmental discussions. Stanford biologist Paul Ehrlich also observed that for the first time in human history, global civilization is threatened with collapse. He observed that the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment Report was undertaking an evaluation of the condition of the world's ecosystems. Ehrlich also called for the establishment of Millennium Assessment of Human Behavior, or MAHB, as it is known in short, to solve these problems. Hence, we can conclude by saying that environmental changes need to be assisted by a variety of disciplines in very specific ways. While economic incentives are important for academic distribution of resources, moral and spiritual values are equally crucial for the flourishing of Earth's ecosystem. It is in this nexus that the field of religion and ecology is making important contributions within academia and beyond. With this, we come to the end of our discussion on religion and ecology. Thank you